Hey everyone, hope you had a good weekend. I'm going to do my video a little different today. So we're just now getting done. Just dropped off the new guy. My way continues to do really good. We spent pretty much all day today at my big HOA account, commercial account, the apartments I do that I've been doing for so long. One of the accounts I actually started when I started going to school at Auburn, by the way, and that's what the video is going to be about. Here shortly, I'll let you know on that. I think my man Ernest, a couple weeks ago, he's asking me if I could go back in time, so to speak, and just let y'all know how I got started and that sort of thing. So I figured I'd do a quick video today, just talking about that. I've had a chance to kind of think about it this afternoon, so hopefully I'll do a good job of explaining things in terms of how I got started and when, and the reasoning behind my work ethic and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it's important, first of all, guys, to bring up, I guess you'd call it the reasoning, as to why I've turned out to be a hardworking person, a hardworking man. And I've always been that way, frankly, ever since I was a little kid. So yeah, it really goes back to being raised by a really good dad and having a supportive father. And not only that, a dad that I watched work his butt off, growing up, to support his family. So that's something I'm really trying to do for my sons as well, and obviously my daughter, but mainly, especially, my sons, because I feel like boys, and I'm sure y'all agree with this, are heavily influenced by their fathers. And it's so important that boys specifically have that fatherly influence. I know y'all agree with that, because I've seen it so many times, people that I knew, that I grew up with, that didn't really have a good fatherly figure in their life. Maybe he was absent for whatever reason, who knows. But yeah, I've seen those guys, a lot of those guys that didn't have that, tend to, a lot of times they struggle, in life as an adult and all of that. And it's just something I've seen and I've noticed over the years. And obviously society nowadays, you're always hearing about the fatherless homes and the lack of families in society. So yeah, that was something, looking back, that's been impressed on me when I look back, is the relationship that I had and still have my father, and just seeing how hard he worked and the values that he instilled in me growing up, and even things like saving money and being thrifty. I'll tell you a quick little story I think you'll get a kick out of here in a minute, but I always noticed how thrifty my dad was, frugal. I used to call him really tight. I think that's another word for it, being really tight with his money. He was really tight, and I'll tell you a story so that made me think that way in terms of my dad being frugal with his money, a little bit cheap at times. I used to give him a hard time growing up. So growing up, he would always take me and my brother to school most mornings, right? And a lot of times we'd stop by McDonald's if we got going in time, to stop and get a biscuit, and a coffee. And for me, it was always a water, and my brother as well, it was always a water. He wouldn't ever get us an orange juice or a Coke, which is fine, it's good. Obviously, Coke in the morning, not too healthy, but a water was free, right? So a cup of ice water is free. So obviously he had no problem with that. But he always got us the butter biscuit. McDonald's at the time, I think it was like maybe 70 cents, maybe 75 cents. A sausage biscuit wasn't much more, but it was a little bit more. But he basically always got us the cheapest thing on the menu. It was a good day if he got us a sausage biscuit. And I think a sausage biscuit time was like 99 cents. But typically he would get us the butter biscuit and a water. Every now and then he might get us orange juice. But looking back, and over the years since then, even though at the time I thought it was kind of dumb that he wouldn't spend that little extra money, on a sausage biscuit and the orange juice or whatever. But now looking back, I think of it as He was being frugal. He was watching his money. He was watching how he spent his money. And that was impressed on me, as a child and growing up, teenage years, knowing that knowing that he wasn't going to spoil me, right, too. So obviously he was cheap with his money, he was tight with his money, but my parents weren't the type of people that would spoil me with gifts. Even for Christmas and my birthday, they would give me some nice things, but a lot of times my neighborhood kids, people that I knew, they would get a lot more stuff. You know what I mean? That always kind of, bugged me a little bit. I mean, I was thankful, I was grateful for what I got. They did give me some nice toys and all that kind of stuff, but needless to say, is like I said, it's because he was watching his money. He was ultimately trying to save it in the end, by working 2 jobs. He had his main job working for a power company in town. 8, whenever it was he got there, I guess around 8, and he'd come home around 4:30, and then he had a side upholstery business that he did that for the longest time that I can remember, where he'd make extra money on the side, upholstering, tearing down furniture, and re-upholstering it, or redoing it with new fabric, right? So I saw that, and I saw how hard he would work, to bring home the bacon, so to speak, bring home money for his family, and that was impressed on me at an early age. So that's really, got to give my dad, a lot of credit for me having the work ethic that I've had all these years and being in the situation I'm in now, and that kind of thing. So yeah, this kind of gives you a little bit of a backstory on me as an individual. So I got to give my dad, a lot of credit for that, for sure. I'm sure a lot of you agree with that. If you had, good fathers in your lives that are able to teach you, that work ethic that I'm sure you have as well. And obviously saving money, being frugal, not blowing your money on stupid stuff. Like I know my man Ray talks about all the time. He's always mentioning about how you got to be smart with your money. And I'm going to say that from the onset. You young guys especially, the younger you are, hey, start saving your money as soon as you can. Don't feel like you got to go out and buy, that fancy vehicle, or, go out to the bars and blow your money on drinks for the ladies and all that kind of stuff. Just try to save as much as you can. That's what I'm going to say off the bat. That's exactly what I did. But anyway, hey, listen, this gives you a little backstory on the man, so to speak, and why I feel like I am the way I am. Ultimately, God has definitely blessed my life, but got to give my dad a lot of thanks too, for sure, and my mom too, but mainly my dad, because that's who I really looked up to ultimately and learned a lot of stuff that I know now from him. So love my dad, no doubt about it. We're still really close, but yeah. So on the lawn care, I started basically, obviously I started mowing grass for my parents, I guess, in my own yard, around 10 or so, but I started making actual money push mowing and the like around 14, 15 years old. So I actually can remember my mom taking me to, who at the time was my youth director. He lived in an apartment, and he was nice enough to let me push mow the yard there and pay me to do so. So I think it was $50, and it was a pretty big yard to push mow. It probably took me 3.5, 4 hours to push mow it, to weed eat and blow everything off, and it was either 50 or $60. Well, after that, and by the way, I didn't actually from time to time I would have to borrow my grandparents' push mower, and it was just a cheap old rinky-dink push mower, which they let me do every now and then. Obviously I ended up buying me my own, or I can't remember if the one that I was using for I'd have to borrow it was tore up. But yeah, they would let me borrow their mower every now and then, which was nice. Not something I necessarily recommend, but yeah, they were nice enough to let me borrow it early on when I was 15, 16 years old. And yeah, from that point, I ended up picking up some more properties, actually a couple trailers behind these apartments that I was doing for my youth director at the time. And I think the guys there, those two particular trailers, paid me $20 each. I believe it might have been 25. I think it was 20. I had to push mow those and weed eat. So that's really where I really got my start, 14, 15 years old. And obviously, I turned 16. I got me a little truck. My dad bought me a little S10 extended cab pickup truck. And shortly after, I think I bought me a little single axle trailer. So that's really where I got my start, right? So yeah, I started out small with a push mower, like I'm sure a lot of you guys do. And I'm thankful that I have my grandparents to let me borrow their push mower every now and then to use, for me to be able to eventually afford, to buy my own little push mower. From that point, it just grew, right? I just made more and more money. I saved it up. I ended up buying, I think it was a Husqvarna riding mower. That was my first riding mower that I used. And once I got that, I went around mowing more and more yards, and I found out pretty quickly that I needed to do a good job. And as long as I did a good job, things would grow and just take off from there. So that's really how I got started for me. It was just really word of mouth. So I ended up basically mowing, all through high school in my hometown of Albertville, Alabama, Northeast Alabama. And I ended up getting a baseball scholarship at a place called Sneed, which is close by in Boaz, and played baseball from 05 to 06. And after going to school there, I went to Auburn University, which is obviously where I'm at now, Auburn, Opelika, where I live now, and graduated with a degree in supply chain management or logistics. So when I graduated in December of 09, and I had a business, like I said, at the time, I had a business where I was doing the Brooks, the big HOA account I just mentioned that we did today. I've been doing it since 06. So I had that, and I had like 8 yards that I had in Auburn. And I would actually come home in the summer to mow some in the summer. My dad ended up actually taking over a lot of those yards, and he would just mow them on the side for me, help me out. But I would come home in the summer every other weekend to mow or whatever, just depending on my schedule during the week. I may stay I think I actually took most of the summers off from school. So I think I came home the majority of the time, and I would work at home and mow grass at home. And during the fall and the spring when I was in school, I'd mow grass in Auburn, right? So that's typically what I would do. I basically just mowed through high school, through college. And that essentially really paid for my schooling, mowing in college. It basically paid for everything pretty much. I had no debt when I graduated. So that's good. My dad appreciated that for sure. I was able to work through college and pay for my own college, mowing grass, y'all. So it's really been a blessing, even earlier on, in school and all that, being able to pay for my school. So once I graduated in December 09, I had opportunity. I can either go into my field of study, supply chain, or, I continue my business and grow it. Well, obviously that's what I decided to do. So I was very fortunate shortly after. That's, my decision I made in December of 09. Shortly after that, the start of 2010, I met a fellow landscaper in Auburn. He'd been doing business for a long time, and he had a lot of contacts. He didn't do any mowing. He quit doing mowing. He just focused on all landscaping. So he had a lot of contacts, and he was able to give me a lot of properties, a lot of yards, people that he knew in the area. I mean, honestly, within a year or two, he had actually helped me pick up some 35, 40 yards. So that was a godsend, So that just helped me being out in the area, in more neighborhoods, people seeing me, people seeing the job that I did, and that I was dependable, I was reliable, all these things, right? So that's really, really thankful to him for that. Now, I did do a lot of stuff for him in return. I did 4 different properties for him for a few years for free. I did his yard, I did his dad's yard, I did First Baptist Church that I still do now, and I did his nursery out in Novasoga, outside of Auburn, Opelika, for free. I did all those properties for free, and I would get him landscape jobs too. So I did pay the piper, so to speak, for him giving me those yards in order to help me out to really get going, right? So owe him a lot of thanks for sure. So that's really how I really got my start. And from then, it just grew from there, right? Over the years, from 2010 to now, it's just slowly but surely, I've just grown a little bit year over year. And I added the spraying back in, I think, 2017, 18. So I've added different services in terms of spraying. I did a little pressure washing as well through those years. So it's just slowly but surely, I've grown. I made more and more money. Generally, each and every year, I made a little bit more money than I did the previous year, right? So I've had help. I've had at least one helper for as long as I can remember. And even before then, I'd have guys that, obviously, when I was in school, I'd have guys that help me out part-time on occasion. They'd help me whenever I needed it, or if I felt like I needed it. If I couldn't do it by myself, I'd get some help to help me out, finish some jobs out. So, yeah, that's really how I got my start, and that's how things have transpired until now. So let me tell y'all, what I did, basically from the time that I decided to, stay, keep my own grass and stick with the lawn care business. When I graduated college from 2010 to 2020, I took most of my money, guys, and I saved it. I saved as much as I could. Like I said, my dad taught me a lot in terms of saving, being frugal. And I invested a lot of my money. Okay, so yeah, I actually started investing in the stock market back when I was 15 years old as well. But I didn't really start investing a significant amount of money until 2008, 2009. And I actually made a pretty good investment on the first day of the rally. I think it was March the 10th of 2009 after it bottomed. So yeah, I actually, literally the first day of the market rally, I think it was $10,000 in a company called Bristol Myers Squibb, which honestly, hindsight's 2020, has done really well since then. And, I don't know, probably 5 times my money with dividends and everything else, maybe more than that. But if I had to put it in something else, like a bank stock or a Caterpillar or something like that, I could make way more money, right? But yeah, like I said, hindsight's 2020. And that's something I can always say. I actually literally, one of my biggest investments early on was the first day of the rally back on March the 10th, I believe. It might have been the 11th or 12th of 2009, right? The day after the stock market hit the bottom, right? From 2008, and we had the big crash. But yeah, I've instead of taking money, which I've been doing here the last 4 years, investing in my business, I took my money that I was saving up, working hard, mowing grass and trimming bushes and doing lawn care stuff for basically 10 years. And I took a lot of it and invested it in the stock market. And I've done really, really well there. So I think I might have mentioned before that I've actually had one investment that I made an investment in Apple back in 2013. I think it was $9,800 that I put in Apple. Today, that $9,800 is worth well over $100,000. And I actually sold, I think it was $10,000 worth of stock a couple years ago just to get my initial investment back. So yeah, y'all, that's a decision that I made. Maybe I could be further along had I took that money and instead of investing in the stock market, took it and invested in my business. Maybe I could be, maybe not. But either way, it's done well. So yeah, I've made a significant amount of money in the stock market. That's what I've done. The first 10 years from 2010 to 2020, obviously, we bought a house then too. So I used a lot of money that I saved up to purchase a house, but a significant portion was used to invest in the stock market. And frankly, I'm glad I did, right? I'm glad I saved that money because I've done really well there and I'm in a really good spot financially. So that really kind of takes the pressure off me doing what I'm doing now, buying the land and getting ready to build a shop and do all the things associated with that because I've done such a good job of saving and investing earlier on in my life that I don't feel a lot of pressure to do what I'm doing now with the land and the shop, the money that I'll be putting into that. So yeah, I'm going to say that, guys. Again, you young guys, whether you invest in your business, maybe that's what you want to do, or you take as much money as you can to invest in the market, maybe mutual funds. I'm not an advisor. I'm not trying to give you advice. I'm just giving you my opinion on the knowledge that I have. And I've got a good bit of knowledge in terms of investing. But if you don't know a lot about it, maybe put it in a mutual fund. There's some high interest CDs out there that I've been doing here recently. I'm actually waiting on a CD now in order to officially buy the land. It's got to mature. It matures on March 7th. So that's why I'm going to be waiting basically the middle of March to officially close on the land. By the way, we've been talking about that. But yeah, y'all, you young guys, the younger the better. Start right now. If you're in your 20s especially, heck, you may even be younger than that. But yes, put it away as much money as you can. My suggestion, my opinion would be maybe look into mutual funds, that kind of thing, or high interest CDs, like I said. Don't take that for, it being advice, do your own research and all that kind of stuff too. But that's usually what people will tell you. Usually, you know, maybe put it in mutual funds if you don't have a lot of knowledge in terms of the stock market and saving, all that kind of stuff. But start now. Don't blow your money on stupid stuff. I know Ray talks about it all the time in his videos. Be smart with your money, and the younger the better, right? So yeah, enough of that. Like I said, the last 4 years, from basically 2021 to now, is when I've been taking a lot of the money that I've made throughout the year and I invested in my business. Obviously, I bought these trucks. My spray truck was the first truck I bought a couple years ago, and this one shortly after. And obviously, I've been basically buying mowers throughout. But you know, like I said, most of my money's been put in the stock market and buying the house. Got a lot of equity in my house here, so I've done well there. So that's good, y'all. I mean, I'm very blessed, and Lawncare has really blessed my life this year. I know we kind of talk about negative things a lot of times, but I'm so thankful what Lawncare has done for me in my life, and I'm just a testament to that. Don't think that you can't be a success in Lawncare. I'm proof of that. Could I be further along? Sure. But yeah, I've done really well, y'all. I mean, I've thought about telling y'all something that I don't want to come across braggadocious in terms of, you know, net worth. I'm not going to say it. I thought about it, but yeah, maybe another day. But yeah, I've done really, really well, personally with my investments. And that's really put me in position that I am today to make, the big investment in the land and stuff like that I mentioned before. It just takes a lot of pressure off knowing I've got a big nest egg and I'm not looking to take any of that money out. That's just going to be for retirement or my kids' college and all that kind of stuff, or emergency fund, that kind of thing. So, yeah, y'all, just give me my 2 cents. Trying not to make this video too long, but that's kind of my story. I'm sure I left some stuff out, but I got to give my dad a lot of credit. I give the good Lord above a lot of credit for blessing my life, my wife, my kids, all that kind of stuff. Very thankful, very grateful. Could I be further along? Sure. But at the end of the day, you know, again, life isn't all about money. You want to have it. You want to make sure you got enough, you know, to take care of the bills and to have nice things, a house, cars, vehicles, everything that you need, the essentials. But none of us are going to take it with us, right? So whether you got $100 or you got $1 billion, ain't nobody taking it with us, right, at the end of the day. So hopefully you're saved and you got all that straightened out with the Lord above, for sure. That's really the most important thing at the end of the day. You know, I've said it before, I'll say it again. So anyway, hey, listen, guys, enough of that. I'm running up on 23 minutes, so I'm going to cut it right there. Again, Lawncare is a great industry. It's not easy by any means. Don't get it twisted. It's not easy. You're going to have to work your know-what off in order to make it, but you can make it if you're willing to put the work in, put the hours in, and do what it takes, you know, to be successful. So yeah, y'all, hope that is encouraging to you. I'm a living testament that you can do really well in Lawncare. Don't ever let anybody tell you any different, that you can't succeed in Lawncare related work, right, guys? So just got to be willing to put the work in. But anyway, hey, listen, guys, hope you're blessed by that. I know I'm blessed. I hope you are as well this week. Off to a good start. God bless each and every one of you. Talk to you later.